Basically, here we are again on another video where we will be talking about guiding and what is expected from you as a guide. So let's assume that you are a new guide, you have just acquired your guide license and you are ready to hit it. You are ready to take your first guest on safari. Okay, so what is expected from you as a guide? What are the qualities that you have to portray as a guide, and what are the things that you have to put into consideration as a guide? So that's what this video for today is it's all about, because I've seen it by myself. The very first time when I got my first client, I remember there were Germans. There were about 8 of them, so they will most fill the safari car. I didn't have someone who sat me down and said, you know what, Puso, these are the pointers that you have to look at. This is that. This. So I learned everything on the field. I made a lot of mistakes that I learned from as time went on. So sometimes as guides, I want to encourage us, and I want to encourage ourselves to share the knowledge we have with young guides. Because with that, we are improving our own industry. At the end of the day, this is our industry. And these young guides, or the guys that have newly entered the industry, they need our guidance, they need our advice, and we need to share some certain tips on how you should handle this thing on your first time. So that's what this video is all about for today. So basically, then you've been assigned with guests. The following day, tomorrow, it will be your day where you go out for the very first time with clients on a guided safari. Okay, it could be a mobile safari, it could be a camp safari, of which I'll make another video where we will talk about the difference between the two: mobile safari and lodge or camp safari. The difference between the two and what you need to put into consideration. Looking at the differences of both, because they are completely different. Now, it's your first drive, okay? Basically, you are not going to sleep. You are going to be happy that they are your first clients. You are going to be curious about the fact that how am I going to handle them. You are going to be scared. It's normal. This thing dealing with clients, it comes with a lot of questionable stuff. Will I make it? Will I be able to make them happy? Those are the things that you should put in mind. Well, it's normal. Don't worry about being scared. Don't worry about panicking. Don't worry about anything. It's your first ride, so it's normal. But there are some things that you have to know, that these ones I shouldn't make a mistake. One, a wake-up call. So normally a guide on a camp safari or in a camp or on a safari lodge, your guest will require you as a guide to wake them up early in the morning. So if you have agreed 5 a.m. in the morning, let's say your game drive starts at 6 a.m. in the morning, then normally they will ask you. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it happens, and it's so ideal in a camp safari lodge, because remember, we're talking about a protected area here where you have animals roaming around with no boundaries. So you find that sometimes where your guests are sleeping, it's a distance away from the main area. So it's very, very important to offer your guests to pick them up or even to wake them up. Say, I'll wake you up, guys, at 5 o'clock. Then maybe at 5:30, I'll come and walk you to the main area. So that's a common thing. It doesn't happen normally, but as a guide, you have to know that those are one of the things that you need to keep on your mind. So if you have agreed 5 o'clock, which is another quality that will be getting into right now: time management, punctuality. If you have agreed 5 o'clock, make sure that at 5 o'clock you wake them up, as agreed. Because chances are that when you wake them up, they will look at the time on their gadgets, of course. Then they say, no, he was late at 15 minutes. That's not a good reputation for the start. Make sure if they say 5 o'clock, you are there at 5 o'clock. If they say give us 30 minutes to prepare ourselves, then you walk us to the main area at 5:30. Make sure that 5:30 you knock on their doors and tell them you are ready to take them to the main area. And insist, offer that to them, show them the dangers of walking alone. And you as a guide as well, you need to be equipped when you are walking them in the dark. You are going to walk them again after dinner to their room, so you need to have a torch or a flashlight to flash around to check the surroundings, whether they are safe to walk or what. That's it about the wake up call. So wake them very early in the morning and talk to the front of house that we want to have our coffee at 5:30. We are leaving at 6 a.m. So that's where the communication skills comes in. As a guide, you are not only a guide. You are a waiter. You are the manager. You are a waiter or a waitress. You are the campaign. You are everything. And make sure that you maintain a very good relationship with your colleagues. Agree them with them on time. Say 5 o'clock. 5:30. We are having our continental breakfast, and 6 we are leaving. Make sure all this is prepared on time. So the previous day, make sure your car is clean. Make sure everything is well in place. Most of our peak seasons, or most of our busy seasons in this industry, is around winter months. So it's very cold and it gets dark very quickly. So you need to make sure that before the game drive in the morning, you have prepared something warm for your clothes. Because in some places like the Kalahari Transfrontier Park or Central Kalahari Game Reserve, it can go even up to 5 below zero, which is very cold. And it will be so unpleasant to a lot of your guests. They're not going to like it, because a lot of tourists don't really understand the kind of cold that we can go through here. Okay, so make sure you've prepared something warm for them. Even if they say they are fine, prepare something, either blankets, either ponchos, something to keep them warm. All right, so now your car is clean. You have provided some warmth for them. That's it for the car. Not really all, even your car, make sure that you have the basics. In case of emergency, you need to have a jack. Normally in Safari we use a high lift jack, and a high lift jack, you need to know how to operate a high lift jack, because it's such a useful tool, but it can be dangerous to you and your clients. Okay, make sure you know how to operate a high lift jack. I think I'll make a separate video where we talk about how to operate a high lift jack, because a lot of people don't know how it works. That's why it can be lethal at sometimes. I've witnessed a situation where a high lift jack have really injured someone badly. So we'll talk about that on a separate video. A jack, a spare wheel, a toolbox, those are the things, normal things that accompany a car. In Safari, you need to have them. You have to have them. You don't want a situation where you get a puncture, then you don't know how to operate the jack. Or you don't want a situation where you get a puncture, then you don't have a spare wheel. Those are simple things that can, spoil the whole experience for your guests. So make sure you have those basics on your car. All right. Then after that, after you've taken yourself to the main area, be with them as they have their continental breakfast. And before you jump on a drive, before you get your coffee box, before you get your cooler box with water, which is very important to have water, because it gets very hot quickly as you drive around. So make sure that you have enough water. Don't say I've got 6 clients, then I'm getting 6 bottles of water. No, get enough. Some people consume 3 bottles of water alone. So make sure that you have enough water on board. So now your coffee box, that they're going to, normally they will have a picnic or a coffee break along the game drive, right? So that coffee box, make sure that it has everything that you are going to need. I've seen a lot of guys, and even myself, I've made a mistake where sometimes I will forget even a flask of water. Imagine, where I will forget a spoon. Then I find that when I get to make a stop for coffee, then we don't have spoons, we don't have sugar, we don't have milk. So make sure that you open that coffee box and make sure that everything is inside. All right, make sure of that. Those are the little things that can turn bad at the end. Remember, you are working for your company and you are working to develop yourself as well. So you don't want a bad review for the company, and you don't want a bad review for yourselves. Because when it comes to guys, normally when they write a review, when clients write a review, they will include your name on it. Okay? So then you had breakfast, you have checked your tea box, you have checked your cooler box. Now it's time to go to the car. If your clients finish early, 5 minutes earlier, they're seated on the car, you should be ready to go. Okay? If they finish before time, you can't keep them and say, no, we agreed 6 a.m. No. these are paying clients, this is your salary, this is your future, this is your life at that moment. So they are the bosses. So now make sure that you look at your clients while they're having breakfast, and you anticipate, or you look forward on how you're going to sit them on the car. The old, the handicapped, or the people with a lot of photographic equipment, each and every one of those people need to have a special sitting arrangement. Because if you've got old people, then you don't want to sit them back of the car, because they are going to struggle to get in the car and walk back there. Okay, if you've got handicapped people, you have to find a way of how to sit them. Maybe they sit in front next to you, because it's easier than people with a lot of photographic equipment, with a lot of lenses, with a lot of this and that, with a lot of cameras. You need to find a way of sitting them as well. So when you sit on lines, make sure you sit them on the car on that particular form. It's very, very important. And all the time, anything you do, communicate with your guests. Don't surprise them on anything, because they're going to get surprised, and at the end it won't look good. Okay, so make sure you talk to them, that the reason why I'm sitting these people here is because of 1, 2, 3. All right, then after you have seated them, greet them with your smile and with confidence. Understand, a lot of us, English is not our mother tongue, and if it's your first time as a guide, you are going to struggle to speak, or to actually explain yourself in English on what you want to say. But take it easy, take a deep breath. That's why you have to come on time, because you don't want to be on pressure, because being on pressure is going to affect your English. Trust me, it's going to affect on how you speak to your clients. So after you have seated them, they are there on a car. One thing that you need to do is to greet them with a smile and introduce yourself to them. Because as you are drinking coffee, even if you introduce yourself to a few of them, maybe someone didn't hear you by that time. So make sure you formally introduce yourself to them. Who are you? What are your intentions with them? Normally you can just ask them this simple question. What is your dream animal? What do you want to see? What is your focus on? So that you can also understand your clients if you are out there on safari with them. So after you have greeted them, there is this thing that we call an orientation, where you have to tell your clients how they should handle themselves on safari drive. It is very important. Do that orientation. Don't assume that your guests are professional enough to understand how they should